Hey guys, how you doing? Wanted to create a quick video on NX2, and I'm also going to be doing this for a couple other programs that people may be wondering about or have heard about. I'm not really sure either how to jump in and start editing or um, what program to choose. And really, it all comes down to your shooting style, what you like to shoot, what you want to be able to change in an image after you've shot it and get it back on your computer. NX2 for the Nikon users is your preferred choice for raw editing, mainly because you can do not only non-destructive editing, which means it's changing pixel information. It's not actually destroying information; it's destroying the picture, and that's the beauty of shooting with raw. Um, so for this image here is raw, and I'm gonna start by, for this demonstration, what I'm going to do, I'm going to use a color control point, and what we're going to do, we're going to put that here. We drop that anywhere. We're going to open up this circle. You see this circle here is an area of influence, and it's not going to be a sharp edge at the edge of the circle. It's going to extend beyond that. Here you see hue, saturation, brightness, contrast, and then red, green, and blue, along with warmth, which is another adjustment for white balance, and you can do that independently. You don't have to set it and then keep whatever setting you get from your camera. You can readjust it later selectively. What I want to do, I want to brighten up this background and get that back to the nice white background that originally was there. And again, raw, the beauty of this is that the information from the original shot is in the file. So if it saw a white background, that's what's there, that's what it'll recreate. So it's very simple to just drop some points in place and bring that back to the white background without, of course, from a photography standpoint, I don't get the glow and the haze in the back in the hair. When I did that, you'll notice that I dropped a few around this whole entire area, but I also affected her. So what I'm going to do, I don't want to use another control point. You saw I duplicated these spots, and I used the same setting for each spot because I duplicated it. Now I'm going to come up and I'm going to grab a new one, and when I drop that onto the hair, you see how it subtracts what I did here. It subtracts it and puts the hair back to the original. I'm going to duplicate a couple of these, scatter these around, brings the hair back to its original. We can turn off the overall effect, and you can see that the hair is now back to where it should be. Anybody that's ever done anything with Photoshop, you'll know that that is a lifesaver. I'm going to do the same thing for the skin. I'm going to duplicate a few spots. The reason why I'm doing that is underneath each point it selects a couple of pixels, and it selects a range close to those pixels, and by duplicating it, it selects an even bigger range, covering all of the skin and restoring everything back to its original color, contrast, and sharpness. Okay, and that takes care of that. Very simple. If I wasn't talking and doing this, this is about a minute's worth of work to change that. The alternative is to use something like Photoshop, and if you've ever done masking in Photoshop, you can select Magic Wand, which comes in and tries to find these edges, which it can never really do correctly. Or you can go around and try to trace around each hair, which that's a lot of work, just way more than what you'd ever want to do, especially for people that are just looking for software they can quickly go in, make changes, make edits, and get back to shooting. Okay, so next thing I want to do, I want to get a little more pop in her skin, so I'm going to come up and I'm going to use something called Pro Contrast. One of the things I love about NX software is it combines various settings, and each one of the things that you choose from the list of settings and choices here any one of these that you choose, it'll actually combine various settings that make that one adjustment even better, I guess I should say. This one here, correct color cast, I can actually adjust like the warmth, the white balance. Okay, so I look at this and I'm kind of liking that gold. I see the gold in the hair and I want to bring some of that gold hue into her skin. And then I'm going to bring the correct contrast down, and then I'm going to start to bring it back up again. And you can see how she starts to really pop off the page from where she was. Okay, secondly, I'm going to choose what's called tonal contrast, which is something that people that do HDR photography, they're going to be familiar with. But it doesn't create that same surreal type color that HDR creates. See, when I apply that, it applies to the skin, eyes, lips, makes your skin, what tonal contrast does is it pulls out details that you can't even see with your own eye, but they're there. You can see all these little tiny imperfections that really aren't there in their skin. I mean, they're there, but they're not noticeable. It emphasizes those and brings those up. Of course, Rachel, if she saw this, she'd not be happy with me. So what we're going to do, we're going to apply this to the hair, but instead of using a color control point, we're going to use a selection control point. We're going to select plus, and I'm going to back out a little bit. Actually, come right here. The way NX2 works, when I first select any adjustment, it applies that adjustment globally. The entire image is going to get that adjustment. When I come up and I select to either subtract or to add, what it does is when I first select the adjustment, the computer or the program assumes that I want to adjust everything with this one effect. By selecting plus and I click in the hair, now I've told it that no, I don't want to apply it to the hair, the eyes, the ears, the earring, the background. I want to supply it or put that effect on the hair or anything within this tonality. And I'm going to actually turn the mask on so you can see what we're doing. You can see how it's selected just the hair. It's actually gone into the eyes, the eyebrows, any tonality that's similar to the hair. And I'll show you how we get rid of that in just a minute. And we're going to create a couple more points, because as you see, when I create more points, we get more detail and we cut more coverage in the hair. But you can also see that it's gone into here a little bit. It's gone into the skin, eyes, makeup, maybe areas that really we don't want to affect. And what we have to do is tell the computer or the program that yes, we want the hair, we want that tonality, but there's areas such as this along the hair that we don't want to affect. So we put a negative or a minus selection control point on the skin. Now we've taught it that no, the skin is good, that's what I want. Or I actually want to affect the hair and I don't want to touch the skin. And I can create more and I can place them in other areas such as the eyes, brown of the eye, whites of the eyes, and maybe the eyebrows. Actually, we'll leave that. And we'll also take it away from the color in the makeup, but we're going to leave it into the eyelashes because these tonal contrasts actually seems to sharpen. It's not really sharpening, but that's the effect that it seems to have. Okay, so if we go back here, also want to touch this one area in the right there. We want to subtract that from the background because we don't want the background to get noisy and more detail. So there you go for tonal contrast. Only the hair has been affected, and you can see the difference that it makes. It really makes it pop out and jump. Now, if I was standing this close to her with her hair, that's really more realistic than what it really looks in real life. Maybe a little bit more so. I know I'm going to do additional softening of this image in the end, So I'm not actually worried too much. This has a little tiny bit more detail maybe than what I really want. So that's how you use tonal contrast to sharpen certain areas of the image. Now I'm going to use it again, and we're going to go the opposite way. I'm going to turn all three of these down, take down saturation just a little bit, and what I want to do, I want to soften the skin. This is actually not all that bad, just for dropping the sliders down, but that may be more than what I really want. I don't necessarily want a model type skin. I want to get rid of some of the pores. I want to soften things up just a whisker. And what I do, I go independently, I grab each one, I drop it all the way down, all the way up, and then I see where it's being affected. Then I just, while I watch that certain area, such as highlight, if I bring that all the way up, I can see how extreme it gets. And I bring it all the way off, and then I bring it back up a little bit until I get where I want to be. And turn that on and off. You can see the effect is very, very subtle in the way I've got it adjusted. And I don't want to be too extreme. I want to still see a little bit of texturing in her skin. Okay, but you see it's got a very nice soft model type look to it. And I could continue to do this into the shirt. I could bring up, create this this piece here. I could create a deeper look to it, maybe a little more detail, maybe a softer detail. Same thing for the shirt area. I can keep going and just keep changing this image to get exactly the way I want. Again, the main thing behind this video is to show the strength of NX2, the difference in editing versus this type of editing versus masking, which we'll see when I do a Photoshop video. Hope you guys liked it. We'll talk to you later.